to see you again. I'm here today to share some of the content that we went over last week, which was third week of March 2021, on account of the fact that not everyone was able to see what was going on the computer screen. You can see now we have a lovely projector, which will allow us to look at things a bit more easily. One thing I didn't get into last time is that as you engage in the world of e-business and e-commerce, you're going to definitely have increased requirement for passwords, and for passwords of more significant security. So I'm going to share with you today a few hacks that I use, because I have many passwords, easily over 100 that I have to deal with on any given time. And you do want to, A, not use the same password for everything, and B, want to be able to remember them well. So here are some tips and tricks. What I do, broadly speaking, is I categorize my passwords. Everything to do with finance, I would use one category. Everything I would do with email, I would use another. But because I do so much traffic in it, I have different categories for each of these different sorts of web-based uses. For you guys, pick your favorite category and use that for everything connected with you. Pick a word you like by category. The big ones, the ones we all remember, are food, drink, plants, animals, people. People can be people in your family, can be historical figures, political figures, plants in your garden, favorite trees, animals, food, and drink. So pick that. That is your category that you remember. So every time you go to a password login screen, you will be thinking, okay, people. Who are the people that I could have possibly picked? Already, you're narrowing the field for your passwords. Among that category, pick a few names. A few names of people, a few animal types, cow, dog, horse, pig, kind of plants, food, or drink. Get those down. Even with 4 or 5 of them at most, you'll have very secure passwords, and I'll show you how to make it. If the word and name you pick is less than 6 letters, add the type of noun after it. So for example, if you have a relative named Jack, person. If you like hot dogs as your favorite, food, add food. If your favorite flower is the lily, it's a flower. You could also put plant there. Sally, again, is a person. So what we're doing is you pick your category. That's what you always remember. Passwords are categorized by food or people. If the name is less than 6 letters, that's okay. You add what kind of category it is with it. Your second step is replace the letters with the symbol language that we all use on the internet. So for example, Jack person, replace the A with the ampersand. That's shift number 2 on the North American keyboards. 3 is a replacement for E, 0 for O. So you have Jack person. Now what you have done here is you have increased the security of your password twofold. You have made it more than 8 characters long, which is a necessity. You've also added special characters, which make it very difficult to crack. Hot dog food, all of that gets replaced by zeros. You've added 2 layers, but not the 3rd layer of the special character. It's good though. Lily flower, again, you replace the I with the number 1, O with a 0, E with a 3. Sally person, $ instead of the S, ampersand, 3 and 0. So what you've done is you have done basic encryption. This is transposition encryption. So you have made these words, lily flower, hot dog food, Jack person, Sally person, much more secure. If you are still short on letters, or if, for example, in the case of hot dog food and lily flower, you haven't been able to add symbols to it, add a punctuation mark of your choice. These are the ones that are shift and numbers, usually at the top of your keyboard. So exclamation mark, percentage, ampersand. No, I didn't say that right. I don't know. The and symbol. Brackets. So you would get Jack person with an exclamation mark, hot dog food, for example, with a percentage sign, Lily flower, 7 in shift gives you a special character, which name we don't know, and Sally person with the bracket. So even with these two, which because of the way they translated into symbolic language didn't have special characters, you can add that. I can recommend that you pick one of these particular punctuation marks and make that your go-to mark. Don't get fancy with it. Don't put in one of these and one of those and one of those. Go with the percentage. Go with an inner or an outer bracket. Do something like that, and that's your one. This way, you need to only remember the category, which is your password, to prompt you to recall them. You start with category, you know you only have a few favorite foods, a few favorite people, plants, animals. You know that you're taking every word, every letter in the word that you can replace with a symbol and doing that. That narrows the field further. You know that you only use exclamation marks or percentage marks. You have, however, got a password that is usually much more than 8 characters, that contains letters, symbols, and numbers in it. You can't ask for more than that. For the kind of encryption they have today, that's what they ask you to do. Incidentally, I would recommend that for added security, you pick the leading letter and capitalize it, unless you can. But some capital in there is a good one to use. But keep it consistent. For the case of Sally person, you can't capitalize the S. Unless you're going to go around it for every password, make sure the last letter, like for example, Sally person and Jack person, unless you make sure the last letter is always capitalized, don't do it for Sally. She'll leave you brief. So at any rate, these are some tips and tricks for secure passwords. Of course, redundantly, always write them down. But as you move into your own web hosting, your own point of sale, your own bank accounts, you're going to want to have the highest level of encryption on your passwords that you can. So here's a way to do it. We'll get started now. You'll see here, this is one of my hosting sites. It has a variety of different things that I host on it. But your site will look more or less like this. It's all icons, just like most of the things we do that have for Facebook and for Twitter. You'd be looking for something that looks like little stacked boxes. That's where your actual tins of soup on the shelf are being stored. So these little boxes show the shelf space that you can't see and access. That's the server space where the tins of soup go. You see here the little house. There's a house on each of these different websites. That signifies a tin of soup. You bought the domain name, yourbusinessname.com, and they go on a shelf somewhere. So when you look at your hosting account, you're going to want to look for something that looks like a server, which is essentially like a tower you'd have in your home for a PC, often laid on its side, as you see, and stacked. And that's your shelf where all your tins of soup lie. So even though you see there are a variety of different ones here, they all actually are tins of soup hosted on the one shelf. It's a great way to save money if you're going to use extra websites. But we're going to go here and I'll show you generally what it looks like. I hover my mouse on it. You see, for example, here, it gives me options for tinkering with my can of soup, which is mybusinessname.com. Here are the servers. See where it says go to cPanel? cPanel is your physical interface for connecting with your shelf, with your tins of soup on it. You see, I click on go to cPanel, it redirects to cPanel. Now this is what we were looking at before, and you can probably see it a bit better. This daunts a lot of people out of their own web hosting and management. There are lots and lots of things here that are very, very complex, and honestly, you don't need to worry about them. As you see, there are options and options that cPanel lets you configure. You can write in programming languages like Python and Ruby on Rails, which is a cool language. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can deal with your cache. You can track people by their DNS, and you can leave yours untracked or tracked. But for you, The only things that you're going to need to worry about are icons, like email accounts. And you see, look at all the different options for emails. You don't have to worry about that. Let's look at your accounts. Maybe look at forwarders. That's all you'll need. Here, anything that looks like this, email accounts, create email account on your particular cPanel version. If you go there, you can make info@yourbusinessname.com. So-and-so, like lo@yourbusinessname.com. Another thing you need is wherever they let you host your SSL, because of course that's what puts the S on the HTTP. That's what gives us security to be able to transact our monetary work with our website, whether that's remote point of sale going through our website or people paying with credit cards or bank cards. That's what gives us the added layer of security. So wherever you see SSL, you'll need that. Anywhere you see the W for WordPress, that's something you'll have to pay attention to, and that's something you'll use. So emails, the SSL that comes with your hosting package, and a WordPress Manager, WordPress installer, anything like that. I use Softaculous. It's a company that allows you to take all of the WordPress software, because remember, the WordPress software is what actually makes you crack open the tin of soup that is yourbusinessname.com and start cooking with it and make a recipe of your own devising. So we're just going to have a quick look at the manager here. Your hosting should look quite similar. If you go with Namecheap, as I do, it'll look identical. As you see, there are all your guys' test sites at the bottom here. And I've set up this server just with a couple of things on it and the test sites for you guys. So that's the shelf. Just has your guys' stuff on it. That way you can interact with it and load with it quickly. But we are at the WordPress Manager. This is where you will go if all else fails and you've forgotten your username, you've forgotten your email, you've forgotten your password. As you see, change password, log in. I think up here we have the dashboard from our login, so let's go there now. So this is what every single website, that the 4 test site ones, the 5 that we did, my site, any site that is made with WordPress will look like once you get into it. Unless you use the free WordPress.com, don't do that because they charge through the nose. What we're using here is wordpress.org, and this is where everything, well, most everything you'll need is free or very low cost. How it is oriented is very similar to your average email browser or content browser, like your file manager, your OneDrive, your emails. It has the categories of information on the left that you can tinker with and do things with, and it has all the meat and potatoes that you do with the categories on the right. Plugins exist down here. They exist after the top stuff. Some of the different categories like posts, pages, media, different things that you've put in place. Always look for plugins. It's a little thing that literally looks like a plug. This is where you put in all of the stuff to make your website personalized and do what you like. Plugins are exactly analogous to all of the custom fittings you'd put on a car. The first thing you're going to want to do when you land at yourbusinessname.com/WP-admin is you're going to want to go to Appearance, and you're going to want to pick your theme. You go to Appearance, a little sub-menu opens, as you see. You hover over any of these and a sub-menu opens. When we go to Appearance, there are themes. We're going to go through this so you guys can see it. So this is the basics of how WordPress works. You've got your categories of things that you can tinker with on the left. You've got all the stuff you can pick and manipulate on the right. At the top, you'll always have the add new post, add new page, add new media, in this case add new theme. As you look at your WordPress, it's going to be on the left-hand side at the top. So let's have a look at that. We've only got a few new themes here because these are the ones I've downloaded from my site. If we click Add New, you get a whole bunch of options. Aya Club. That was a kick-butt one we did on the first test site with the cool slideshow. And that is part of its functionality. For example, this one here is a cool theme, and I use it on one of my non-profit sites because it allows you to have a ticker of information. So for example, if you're like Wilma and you're doing the nature walks and you want to monetize that, if you're like Lo or like Trina, and a big part of the draw to your business is getting people to pay attention to you, to interact with you, to share your stories and your content, you might want to pick something like this. There are ones like Magazine Press. If you want that sort of functionality, you can search in the top right for something like news, journalism, blog. But having said that, they're all broad categories, and categories aren't going to pick your favorite theme. You're going to want to pick a basic theme that you like, tinker with it with the categories, and then probably refine that a time or two. For example, this yellow thing here, this is a plugin that I installed to allow me to be able to prompt people to subscribe to my newsletter. This theme is interesting because it has a ticker at the top here that takes my latest editorial posts and comments and puts it up. It has a really neat, crisp menu on it. Right in the drop down, I'll show you in a second, is where my shop is. It shows you recent comments on my posts. It also has my archives. It also has a social media area. So as you see, it's very different from the one we did for test sites. This one here, Magazine Press, is what we're going to look at on the site when it loads. So this is our local arts council. And because, again, the Arts Council is designed to derive its income from participation with the community and from engagement with individual artists and interested philanthropists, that sort of thing, we have picked the magazine news. as you see, it has this cool functionality where it has a news ticker like CNN. You can set that to any category of your posts. What we have now is we have news. So all of our latest posts that we have tagged with news, which we'll learn how to do in a moment, run up there endlessly. It's great, it's grand. Here we have a block of information with our latest posts from event. There's our president, Neil Fiddler, with a whack of bottles, because we're collecting bottles for our community arts center. There's the great Sarah Dudley from the Small Axe helping us out. Here's our March 2020 featured artist. So you can click on any one of these or on any part of this and get engaged. Now thinking about it again, we have what, 3.5 seconds? 1, 2, 3, and to grab their attention. Well, we can also put in a banner ad. You can make your own banner ads and put them right at the top. If you click there, it takes you to our GoFundMe page so that they can give us money. You can click on any one of these. Statistically, if you have a blog or a shop that is very much product driven or you driven, personality driven, content driven, then something like, was it Magazine Press? We'll check in a minute. Something like this theme is good. If you like something a bit more traditional for your website, like this one for me, let's figure out what I used. The answer is Cool WP, which means it's classic WordPress site. This tells us the active theme. From Customize, we can go back into the theme adjustment screen and pick a different theme. Theme options are broad categories. Header images, these are things that appear up here behind the title. So you could put some of your product there, you could put your location, you could put a seasonal thing. For example, on the Enderby Arts Council page, we are able to put in a banner ad on the header and have a live click so that when you touch it on your smartphone or tablet, when you hover your mouse on it, you can interact with it. All those things are headers. Headers interact with your title. Menus, background image. This is where you see green on this. That's the background image. Word to the wise, background images can just destroy the integrity of the website, because if you pick one that's too busy, if you pick one that scrolls, it can look really old-fashioned and a little tawdry. So be careful with that. You might want to just go with color. You might want to pick the right image to go with. That's background image. Menus. Menus are what we see up here. So let's open up menus. As you see, this allows you to come up with different places for your menus. I'm not going to get into this in a major way because the places where you can put your menus vary theme by theme. What I can suggest is that you take a few of your basic pages, like your store or shop page, your contact page, your About You page. You throw them into a menu, but each of these represents a page or a post that I have made on the website. This is the trick with doing your own website, is that you put the really cool theme on. You'll get everything in theory the way you like it, but it won't look like the Enderby Arts Council site or like mine, because you need content for it. You need pages, which are like the categories in the grocery store, where you would have like tin soup, where you would have produce, where you would have dairy. Those are the pages, or the big signs that hang over top of and at the start and finish of different aisles in the shop. Posts are like the items on the shelves in each category. So you have to make some pages up, like About Me, Contact, that sort of thing, and then you can start to populate your menu. You see here, each of these is in a little rectangle. Those can be picked up and manipulated in the menu. See how this one sticks out more from these ones? This is how we made a sub-menu, support and training, with 3 items in it. So I'll just show you what it looks like when you go to it as a menu. The big one that sticks out on the end here, you can see it better there, that is going to be what you see in the menu. So you can rename those pages in this area. You can also craft them that way. But as you see, when we put our mouse on support and training, we get courses, training, contact, support, contact. And those are exactly the pages we see here. So when you look at my menu, support and training, other services, terms of service. And as we look here, support and training, down, oh, here's another one, other services, there's another one that sticks out, terms of service. And that's how you craft your menu, is you're doing it by large categories and then smaller categories. This is a design tip and trick. Try to keep your menus with fairly short words. Mine are a little wordy. And try to keep the main categories as few as possible, because what you want to do is, remember, we're looking at this on a PC today, but if you're looking on it on a smartphone, you don't want people to be faced with your title, a huge header image that takes a lot of data to load, and then each one of those menu items as a separate one to run along here, because they'll have to scroll down and down and down to get to any of your content. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, they'll just leave. So you want to keep your menu to a few very specific, fairly broad categories, and then put everything else on drop-downs underneath. Now have a quick look at how to make a menu item. It's good we can go into this a bit more. Anyone you click on, like support and training, let's look at other services. It comes up, and in this field here, I can change it. So what I'm just going to do here is change it from other services to other, and as you see in our real-time simulation, got rid of the word services, went to other. It's shorter, I should leave it that way, but I'm not going to, because I like grammar. But as you see, we've made a change to the material portion of the website, and up there, it went to the blue publish icon. You're always going to want to look for blue buttons that say publish or update before you leave a page. You can make the perfect page, the perfect post, and if you just close your computer or you get kicked off the internet without hitting publish or update, it may or may not have saved a draft for you, and you might have to start all over again. So we'll just look here, MacGregor Logistics. You see, even though we've changed it, we've only changed it in the simulation. This is our website as you'd view it as a visitor, other services still. I would recommend that as you work with WordPress, you open up two windows. One here, Customize MacGregor, is where we're working on our website, and the one beside it is where we would view it as a visitor. I like to do that and not just necessarily trust WordPress to show me the virtual images. So that's what our site looks like. We go back here, and let's come up here and press publish. And as you see, the little circle goes around. When it turns gray again, it says published. And now let's refresh our web page. Keep your eye on other services, and let's see what happens to it. Other. Now this is a phenomenal amount of cosmic power we're wielding right here, because people from all over the world, people from third world countries with a cell phone, people from our friends and our neighbors can look at our web pages, and you see how easy it is to change it. Incidentally, I would thoroughly recommend that you take the time to go over this video even a few times so that you master these skills, so that you have the power to be able to make these material changes to your website when and how you see fit. It could be a little daunting at first, but you've got this, you've got some bits of kit, you've got a good help community that you can go to online, you can mentor and work with each other. And I will warn you that to get rid of services and other, if you go with a web designer, can cost you anywhere from $45 to $150 an hour. If you're lucky, they will bill you in 15-minute increments. To set up this theme, as we saw on the website with the IA Lite one, as we see with switching the themes around here, it takes minutes. It's these themes that web designers largely take credit for having created the content for your website. It's all just plug and play. You can do this on your own. You can save yourself a lot of money. If you get stuck, talk to each other, talk to the online communities, talk to your hosting provider, and you can always talk to us too. All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to add a sidebar. As you see, my website, straight down the middle. Widgets will be appearing on the sides of your website most frequently. Middle of your site is where all your posts and your content go. You can have, depending on your theme, you can have sidebars on the left, sidebars on the right. Now let's look here. We have the Internet Defense League, Google Translate, recent comments, and search. And this is sidebar 1. Over here on this sidebar, we have my archives and a Facebook link. I can thoroughly recommend that you take the time to set up a Facebook page, a Twitter account, a Pinterest account, especially if you're doing any sort of crafting or product selling, even food, like for the Sandy Point store. Get a Pinterest account and take beautiful images of all the food you're planning on making. For Robin and her health food, her fast food, get that Pinterest account, because if you use Pinterest, it is pretty much just like flipping through a magazine. And if you see a picture you like, you can save it, and you can plan a whole vacation off of that. Certainly you can plan a day out for a little bit of local micro-tourism. So you can link up Pinterest accounts, Facebook pages, Twitter feeds to this here. And you do it by widgets as opposed to menus. But what I like are the footers. So what we have here is, I only have 2 at the moment, but each of these is a different column. As you see, we have up to 4. So I can double the amount of information I have here. I can put 2 more things at the bottom of my site. I actually don't have that much to put on my site. Well, let's look at footer 1, contact info. This is a great thing to put on the home page of your site, to put on one of your sidebars, 1 or 2, or at the bottom. It allows you to enter all of the information you need. Some of them will even allow you to put a Google Maps link to let people know where you're at. It's very useful, and then it sits there. You go through the hassle of writing this once, and it will be on your website advertising for you forever. So that's the only one I have on footer 1. Let's look at footer 2. What I've done is I've taken a plugin, and this is how you make these cool little forms. These are actually coded with JavaScript. They're coded. And what Formidable Forms, you know, it says Formidable Form, drop as a line. That's a plugin, which I'll show you when we get back to the dashboard menu, that allows you to pick and choose, drag and drop your way to these forms. For free, Formidable Forms allows you a lot of functionality. Some of the form plugins you'll see on WordPress allow you to put in first, last name, maybe email, that's it. Formidable allows you to do radio buttons, you know, the little ones that are circular, or checkboxes. I'll show you on the EDAC site how it works. But what I did was I made this form, my regular contact form, on Formidable. I saved it by pressing publish or update, and then I can pick one of the number of different forms right here on my widget bar to be able to display anywhere on my website. So just for the sake of argument, let's say we want to change it from contact us to contact training, let's say. This is why I don't use contact training on my footer, because see, it's massively long. But for free, just by adding the Formidable Forms plugin, I can get people to enter their first, last name, their email, their phone number. You can decide, the little asterisk, whether it's information they must provide or not to you. Then, courses of interest. Incidentally, most of the widgets allow you a different field for putting a title in. What the title is distinct from what the content of the footer will be. So this should give you an idea of the resilience of the bits and bytes that go from your can of soup on your shelf to your device, your smartphone or your PC. It should also give you an idea of why you do need a computer in addition to a smartphone to be able to get all this functionality. And it should also burst some of the bubbles of how difficult it is to make the flashy, splashy, awesome looking websites that we see today. And finally, it'll let you know that if you do hopelessly, pardon my French, bugger something up, you can work your way out of it. You can start again. Just for a few clicks, you'll be back to where you started or even someplace better. And it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're carving in marble and we're back to our dashboard. So I have a lot of bells and whistles on my site, not as many as some sites with which I work. But let's go right to plugins. Plugins are down toward the bottom of your menu on the left. Let's look first at installed plugins that I have on my site. You see the little red circles here and here? This means there are new things that have to be addressed. So for example, since I last checked the site, I've got 30 new comments. I've been quite chatty lately. And I have 4 plugins that could stand to be updated. And remember what we mentioned before about all these notifications? We've moved a couple of times in the dashboard. We're stacking up notifications. However, we can get rid of them all by pressing the X, or we can remember that our content is beneath and you can always scroll down. Formidable Forms. That's the one we're talking about. Facebook for Woocommerce. We're going to want Woocommerce, which is all one word. You don't have to get the capitals right. But Woocommerce is what allows us to set up our online shops. Facebook for Woocommerce means that you can actually just make your store once here, and Facebook will populate it with the listings you make. So again, you are saving yourself so much time and effort and money. You do it from the website, yourbusinessname.com, and they have plugins that will populate different websites, like an Instagram shop, a Facebook shop. There's another one too. It updates your Pinterest feed with new products that you sell, and it all does it once you've done it here, just on your own website. You put your product in once with your price, your shipping terms, and you're done. It will update everywhere else. So that's a useful plugin there. And incidentally, web designers will tell you it will cost you hundreds or thousands more to take your shop and put it on Facebook. And we know now that it's just a few clicks. Here are some good ones. Mailchimp. You know those newsletters that you get from people? Sometimes they wind up in spam, but they're slick and they're swish and they have links to products and catalogs and sales. That's made with a newsletter program. So I use Mailchimp. I like to chimp it. That's what we say. I like it better than Constant Contact. I like it better than some of the others because it integrates with WordPress very smoothly, and it has a vast array of free things, again, saving you and me both money, that you can use on Mailchimp and with WordPress without monetizing. Slack, Constant Contact, some of the other ones, they all charge a lot of money for very simple add-ons to your newsletters, whereas Mailchimp gives you a lot for free. And then if you do decide to move into a plan to integrate your store or to do any particular selling, it's a lot cheaper. Plus they're independent coders from Spain, Liberia, which is pretty cool. So we have Mailchimp for Woocommerce, which again integrates the store you make once with Mailchimp and allows it to access and pull data for each of your products so that you don't have to do a coding. You don't have to make a new thing for these beads or for this medicine or for this dinner. It's all done for you. You just pick them and install them, much the same way as you would pick the forms for your widget, or you change your content on the appearance of your website. So Mailchimp for Woocommerce. Mailchimp Activity allows you to, right here in your dashboard, figure out who's subscribed to your newsletter, who's dropped subscription, who's clicked it and read it, how long they've read it for, and what content inside made them go to your website. So MC for WP, Mailchimp Activity, is a great plugin to give you that extra element of data. And of course, it's data that we're collecting about our customers so that we can fine-tune our product delivery, we can fine-tune all of our messaging to help form better relationships. and make sure that that impulse economy, which is essentially the economy we've moved into, is the impulse age, out of the age of industrialization or the cottage industry age. We want to maximize that impulse interaction through sales, through newsletters, through very easy to make and maintain websites. And we saw this yellow bar, sign up now, don't miss the fun, your email address, subscribe. Here is the plugin, MC4WP, Mailchimp top bar. You download this and you can customize that top bar content. That's the basic plugin for WooCommerce. WooCommerce literally has thousands of different plugins you can add to this for functionality, but you ultimately need just plain old WooCommerce to start. Woocommerce Shipping and Tax is a very useful plugin. It takes your location and it provides whether you need GST on some items, HST on other items, what you need if someone's buying from Britain, if you need that, and VAT, value added tax, and it helps you to calculate your shipping. So that's a great one, WooCommerce Shipping and Tax. They all live off of WooCommerce. And here now for Stripe, which as we remember is the method that I like best to be able to add debit card functionality, credit card, e-transfer, PayPal functionality, pretty much any sort of electronic means of payment to your website. I prefer Stripe. All these plugins, they're customizations, right? They're customizations on your car, or to use the soup metaphor, the bits of spice and additional things you can add to your recipe. You click install now and that takes this and puts it on your shelf with your can of soup. When you hit activate, like we did here, then it actually cracks the package of cheese for your craft dinner or spices open and allows you to sprinkle it to your taste on your website. So now that we have Stripe Gateway done, I'm going to show you around a little bit now that we can see better. We're going to the gear on Stripe Gateway, and as you see, we never had this on our website before. On your test site, you will not have had it. But when you download the right one, you will see new lines on your dashboard on the left bar, the category bar. Your dashboard will become quite long. That's okay. To a degree, that's a sign you're getting more functionality out of your website. We're actually interfacing with our Stripe account right now. It gives you your account ID. You can reconnect. Here are your security keys, which it all walks you through the process of providing when you open up things. Here it lets you look at the credit cards you accept and that you have linked to your account. Apple Pay, Google Pay. Up here are your main menu options. We're under payments now. And as you see, it's much like a file folder or a recipe file folder. There are different tabs. And as you open them, they show you different functionality. You've got general, products, shipping, accounts and privacy, emails, integration, and advanced. We'll look at general. I've got my business address. It gets you go through all of this when you set it up the first time, but you can change it. Remember, when you're dealing with most plugins, you have to scroll right to the bottom. It says Save Changes. This is analogous to the Publish or Update button. Always look for the little blue buttons. Remember to, imagine you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes filling out all of this. If you don't hit Save Changes, it will not save your changes. So when you're dealing with plugins for most anything, always be sure that you scroll to the bottom when you're done to make sure that you have saved it. So this is the area where you set up your store in terms of payments. This will not set up your store in terms of items to sell. What's the point of making a shop if you can't take payments? Think of WooCommerce as your Walmart. Think of WooCommerce as your giant brick and mortar emporium. WooCommerce allows you to make your products, set your categories for the different aisles in your shop, determine how big your shop is, determine what kind of products you're selling, where you ship, how much it costs, all the rest of it. And Stripe takes that information and works with it. But you have to fill it in with WooCommerce first. So you go to plugins, you make sure that your WooCommerce plugin is there, and as you see on our dashboard menu, we have WooCommerce with its little speech bar that says Woo with it. And we have WooCommerce, WooCommerce products, analytics, which is that big data we were talking about. This is just another way to do Stripe, and marketing. Marketing will sync up with Facebook and also with Mailchimp. So let's look at my products. What I do is I deal in a lot of used things and refurbished things, so I do not leave my product listings after they've sold. Currently, I'm offering 4 things. As you see, you set your categories and what you want to tinker with. Your plugin WooCommerce, your products, and then on the right side of the WordPress software, you see cool stuff that you can look at. Now I have entered each one of these individually as an item, like a post you'd make in Facebook, and it sits there. Speaking of Facebook, because we have a Facebook and WooCommerce plugin, each of these will show up on my Facebook store as well without me having to make them from scratch. So we have 4 things. We have an Asus laptop for gaming. We have a very rare yellow iPhone 5C. Apparently the yellow and the green ones are most coveted. So if you have one of those, you might want to sell it. I also have a blue one. Apparently they were much more common. And then we have another Asus laptop for sale. And what this shows you on WooCommerce is it gives you the graphic you've picked, your featured image, which we'll get into shortly. Tags allow people on the internet to find random posts. And if you ever do wind up taking my social media for business courses, 1 and 2, we'll learn more about that. The date published, just did them, and then other information. Import and export. This is how you would bring in items. Let's say you start off with a Facebook shop. You could bring in items from Facebook or Instagram or from Etsy, Shopify, that sort of thing. You can also export them too. So we are going to go to Add New. Now we are at, this is a screen that in one form or another, you are going to become very familiar with WordPress. As you see, it mirrors what you would see in a word processor. So we've got bold, italics, how do you want to orient the text, left, center, right, a whole bunch of things. What is this, a paragraph? Do you want bulleted or a numbered list? So it looks very much like a word processor. And this is what they'll all look like, whether you're making a product, a blog post talking about your adventures, a page, which is like your categories for menus and other things. Courses, forms, they all start off like this. Right at the very top, you see there's Add New. Product name, this will either be your page name, such as support and training or other services. It will be a post name like update on construction part 2, or it will be product name, it will be a form name, contact us, training contact, that sort of thing. You always need to enter that, because it is from this name that the internet derives its web address. Here is what my shop looks like. It looks like any other Swiss shop. The WooCommerce listing. On the far left here, when we were looking at it, it had a little image, a little version of this image, and it had a name, Asus laptop, blah, 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 blah. Gaming, cool. So, this is our product name. That's why I put iPhone 5C rare for the yellow one, because I wanted to distinguish it from the other one, the blue one. As you see up here, we have MacGregorLogistics.com/product/ and then the product name. Whatever we put in product name, like really cool gaming laptop, that is going to appear on the internet after product. So let's just make one here now. Let's see if I can do this. Let's look for a picture. Any picture that you look for on the internet, you're going to want to put the words free. Just hang on. You're going to want to put the words image and free, because otherwise you could be taking someone else's content and you don't want to do that. Back at our products, you are in fact going to want to take your cell phone or a nice digital camera and stage really good pictures of your products, which you will upload via media. We're going to get to that in just a sec. Really cool gaming laptop. We don't necessarily have to say anything about it, but let's just say, you'll love this great computer. There we go. That's where you would say things about the quality of your products. What I want to show you here is, as you scroll down on the new product field, here's where you enter all the information. Simple product means stuff you can sell. Grouped product means stuff that's a category. External affiliate product means if you want to sell through Amazon or through Walmart or through one of your friends, you can do that. So you set your price. Let's say we're going to put $1,500. That's a good price for a really cool gaming laptop. Here is a note. Don't enter what your sale price would be until it's on sale. Otherwise it will show that. Leave the field blank. You are going to have to go back in and adjust it to half off or what have you. And as you see, even though we are in the field that manipulates stuff in WordPress, it's still the same orientation. The left part of this area has our categories for what we can manipulate the product about. The right changes the content. If you notice on the sale thing, schedule, if you open up this menu, it lets you set the sale. So for example, if I want to sell my really cool gaming laptop and I haven't sold it in a month, it's March 29th, 2021 today, I can put from 2021-04-29, I want to sell it for a week, and then I don't have to come back and enter it. That will happen automatically for me. But there's our price. Inventory, you can add the SKU if you have any of it in stock. Shipping, the weight, let's say 3 pounds. Dimensions, it's a nice one, 17-inch screen, so it'll be 18 inches by 12 inches, and it's super thin, so let's put 1.5 inches. Shipping class, I don't have shipping classes, I just ship. Linked products, we have the upsell and the cross-sell. For those of you that are unaware of this, a cross-sell is when you go to buy one of the episodes in the Star Wars 6 movie cycle, basically, in the classic one, and they say, would you also be interested in the other 5? That is a cross-sell. It is different versions of the same content that complement each other. Upsell is, okay, you have bought one of the Star Wars movies, or maybe all 6. How would you like this great Star Wars hoodie? How would you like the complete lightsaber kit from all of the bad guys or all of the good guys? Upsells are more expensive products, and products that people who are aficionados, that are really engaged with whatever it is they've come to your site to buy, will get. So for example, in terms of beading, cross-sells are different kinds of beads that could be used on the same project. Upsells are a superior version of any sort of thread you'd use, are things like the eyepieces, the monocles, magnifying glasses, beading trays and lights. Those would be upsells, because in theory you can bead just fine on your lap, but you want to try to sell more kit. Cross-sells and upsells, you put the product name in there. I have enabled Stripe Apple Pay, Google Pay, and a separate Stripe payment request because I want to get paid any way I can. Here's a way that you can monetize with more options. Facebook, I have synced it and it will show in my catalog. I can sync it but hide it on Facebook. If I want to just show it online, I can also not add it to the Facebook store. I can make a separate Facebook description, or we can go with the one I've written. And as you see down here on the right, these are all of the main controls on your post, on your page, on your product, on your form. There will always be a spot where it says set featured image, product image, You're going to want to put a picture there because for search engine optimization, any content on the internet that has a picture with it gets booted up in the rankings. So never leave your post without an image. What we're looking at here, by the way, is my media gallery. So this is a copy of every image I have downloaded from my computer to the website. What we do is that we go to whatever image we want to put as our featured image or in the poster page. You click on it, a little square comes around it with a check mark. When you're making a gallery, it will give you the option to click multiple images and each one will get a square with a check mark. That's how you know you've selected it. What you see here, product tags, this is part of search engine optimization. You'd want to put Asus gaming laptop, you'd want to put your business name, any other things that you want to come up and up in the rankings, those go for tags. So each one you enter Asus gaming laptop, you put a comma after it and a space. Next tag, yourbusinessname.com, comma, space. Then finally you click add and you can add many tags at once. So now we've made a listing. Now, as I mentioned before, we have to look for the blue button, publish, update. It's right there. Now we will publish it. And now, I'm going to wait. Let's check it out. We are back at my shop site. As you see, we have our new really cool gaming laptop for $1,500, not the $299 listed in the picture. So, just before we finish, we are going to look at posts and pages. As we've said before, posts and pages are the meat and potatoes of your website. Here we are looking at posts again. This will give you a list of all of the posts that you have ever made on your website. So we have my last commentary one about the Shaw-Rogers merger, something about intellectual property rights, another one about it, modern cryptography and computing speed, all sorts of stuff. So here are all of the posts that I've made, and as you see, I spend a lot of time with social media and search engine optimization, so I know how to tag for that. When it comes to making money off of sales, I don't bother. But this one here, Rogers, will it leave us raw? I have tags like Canada, Canadian Information Technology, Canadian Manufacturing, MacGregor Logistics, Merger, Monopoly, Privacy, Rogers and Shaw, Telecom, Communication Network, Oversight, Free Enterprise, Federal, all kinds of stuff. So when you make a post about construction on your interpretive center, you're going to want to include information like interpretive center, where you are, yourbusinessname.com, tags, catchy phrases, one, maybe 2 words are what you're going to want to do to make sure that search engines pick it up. Published, the date it's published. So we are going to go to add new. And I'm going to make a news post. Awesome students learn WordPress. Now, you want, whether it's a product listing, a page, or a post, or even a forum, you're going to want to keep this short and sweet. Because again, when you look at this on the internet, it will be yourbusinessname.com/awesome-student/learn/WordPress. It doesn't use punctuation. I can't get rid of it. But you want it to be something pithy. You rock for learning to code with WordPress. And believe it or not, even though we aren't doing any stuff on a dusty old terminal, you might recognize them if you're old enough. Something like MS-DOS. This is the Linux terminal screen. It shows that I had a VPN on. We're not doing it like that with all these weird arcane words and numbers and phrases, but this is still coding. This is graphic coding. I'm going to get rid of this notification. No, we aren't. It's not going to like that. We're going to pick our category and categorized. We won't put any tags on this one today, but we are going to pick a featured image.
Let's see, what can we use? Here, let's use this one. You guys are taking learning off the internet. Doing pages is the same as this, only instead of going to the post section up there, you will go to pages. And you will click all pages to look at it, or add new. It's exactly the same for that. For Formidable, I'll show you what the Formidable interface looks like. As you see down here in the bottom right part of the screen, that's uploaded. So let's publish it. Now, we are looking as a visitor at our website. Anytime you click on the title, it will take you back to your main page. And look, right there on my ticker for my news, there you were, here you are, right front and center. And that's your new post. So imagine you're doing storytelling, you're going on nature walks, you're building your interpretive center, your tiny house village. On this part of your feed, or on this part of your feed, the latest updates are right there. So for the 1, 2, 3.5 seconds that people look at your website, they're going to see bright images, they're going to see cool titles that are going to engage them and make them stick around. That's how you make a post. The only difference, and this is frequently how I realize I am on a page and not a post generator, is that the only difference between pages and posts in terms of this interface is that down here you will not find any tags. Pages do not get tagged because pages are primary content on your website. We're going to have a quick look at media. As you see, it looks here, there's a little camera. Let's get rid of this notification. As you see, everything slides up. These are all the pictures that I've used for my website. I cannot stress enough, look for free image, free photo. That shows you ones that are not copyright. If you see copyright so-and-so in the bottom, don't take it or cite them when you upload it. You can, however, like for example, I have Disney content. If anyone knows anything about Disney, they will come and shut you down. However, if you do go to any sort of movie that you own or content and you take a screen cap, well, that's your value-added content, especially if you put a bit of a tint of color on it. So that's where all those cool photo apps on your phone can come in really handy, is that you can change content, like from My Fair Lady, and make it your own, and go from there. There's some pictures of some stuff I was fixing. There's the Great Iggy Pop. And what you have is that this will keep for you in a file folder every image that you ever upload. See where it says all media items? You can also upload documents like a registration form, a release form for a dangerous nature hike. See, you have documents. You can get a spreadsheet for your billing. You can do video, audio, all kinds of things. And you just literally take information from one of your file folders and drag and drop it here. You can also go to Add New. Our good friend Add New, sometimes it appears as Upload, but it'll be in the top left-hand corner, and you can select files. See, for example, now I am looking at my what is analogous to a file manager. Let's say we want to take one of our slides from our course. Say we want to do point of sale trends. I have selected it, I upload it, and this is your media library. As I mentioned, for search engine optimization, you need to add images, you need to add visual content in order to boost your ranking. You can have the best written blogs and posts and pages in the world, but if you never use your media library, which is over here with a little camera and a musical note behind it, if you never use your media library, you're not going to hit page 1 anymore. They want images and content. Let's see, the last thing we were going to show you is a little bit about Formidable Forms. These are just great. They make your website look super swish. And these are incidentally things that web designers will charge a lot of money for. This is a plugin. This did not exist on the website when we started. We added it as a plugin under the plugins menu, right at the very bottom. If you can see it, and it emulates the WordPress structure where you see all the different submenus of what you can do, your forms, entries, menus, styles. I can import and export these. I can take these that I've made here out of this and put them somewhere else. I can also import other forms and use them. So there's an inbox, all sorts of things. Here are the ones I've made. I've made doubles of some of these because I was teaching some other people about them. But these are the different form titles. Again, add new, top left, right? Top left, correct? Test form 2, apparently. Here you put the name of your form, which appears as the form's name on the internet, and a description. Let's create it. Look at all the stuff you can do with Basic. You can add text, checkboxes, paragraphs, radio buttons, emails. So what we do is we select, say, email. You can add email. Let's say you want to add radio buttons. You click it. When you select this, you can change what it says from radio buttons to say, is it daytime? You can ask a question and spell it properly. Then at the bottom you see radio buttons options. You can change what the options say, yes or no. Now we have, very adamant about it being no. Every time you press enter, you update the field. So radio buttons are the little circular ones, just word to the wise. They only allow you to pick one of the options. So if you want people to be able to give you more detailed information, you're going to want to go with, we'll go back up to add fields. See, we have two menus, add fields and the options. You're going to want to go with checkboxes or a drop-down menu. Now when the user sees this, you're going to want to fix your spelling error. They can click all of them. Some of them are one of them. Radio buttons are the circular ones. They only let you pick one option. So if we had made this radio buttons, they could only pick one. So you can add a Captcha, which is like prove that you're not a robot. You can use hidden fields, phones, websites, other numbers like employee ID numbers. You can get them to add particular HTML code, a user ID for like a password question. There's drop-down menus, all sorts of fun you can have. So when you're done crafting your form, see the submit button is added at the bottom. You hit update, which again, when you're doing your saving to the content you've written here, update, publish is almost always on the right. New things are almost always on the top left. And from this, we can go to our post page. Let's say we want to go back to our posts. Let's go to Awesome Students Learn WordPress. See, we have our Formidable button here. Wherever we want to input our form, we put our cursor, we add Formidable button, we can select a form. We can display the form title and the description, if I can click it right. And we insert into the post. Now what you see, don't panic here, anything in square brackets, you see these little square brackets on WordPress? That's short code. It is a kind of code, and you have coded your website So this pretty much concludes our WordPress tutorial.